They say every village hides a secret. But Udo worshipped its secrets. The moon always hung differently above our land. Too quiet. Too watchful. At night, drums echoed from distant huts while the harmattan wind carried whispers through the forest. And at the center of it all stood the shrine of Olonem, the goddess of truth and vengeance. That shrine was my home. My prison. My destiny. My mother, Neka, was the oracle of Udo, the most feared woman in the kingdom. Men bowed when she walked past. Women lowered their eyes. Children hid behind their mothers. Not because she harmed anyone, but because the gods answered whenever she spoke. And me. I was Amarachi, the oracle's daughter. The girl everyone feared before she even opened her mouth. Because every prophecy I ever spoke came true. Even the terrible ones. Especially the terrible ones. The night Prince Obine died. The gods warned us first. I remember the fire shaking inside the shrine. I remember my mother's face turning pale as cowries scattered across the floor. That was the first time I saw fear in Neka's eyes. And fear looked wrong on her. Like rain falling upward. She told me not to leave the shrine. Told me blood was coming. Told me destiny had already chosen its victim. Obina. The prince of Udo. The only man who ever looked at me like I was human instead of cursed. But I was foolish. I believed love was stronger than prophecy. I believed destiny could be changed. The gods must have laughed at me that night. When I ran to the palace the next morning, the whole village stared at me. Fear follows people like me. You can smell it in the silence. I saw mothers dragging their children away from me. Men whispering behind my back. Women making the sign against evil. But Obina smiled when he saw me. He always smiled. As if my darkness could never touch him. I begged him not to go hunting. I wanted to scream the truth. I wanted to tell him death was already standing behind him. But destiny is cruel. The more you try to outrun it, the faster it chases you. Obine touched my face and promised he would return before sunset. I remember watching him walk away. Something inside me broke before he even died. Maybe part of me already knew. That evening, the sky changed. Birds stopped singing. Even the wind sounded afraid. Then the screams came from the forest. And suddenly, I couldn't breathe. Deep down, my spirit already knew what the hunters would bring back. Obina's body. Cold. Broken. Covered in blood. The prince who swore he would defeat destiny. Destroyed by it instead. And the worst part. His final word was my name. Grief changes people. It turns pain into hatred. The villagers looked at Obina's body. Then looked at me. And suddenly, I became the monster. Not the leopard. Not destiny. Me. The queen called me a witch. The villagers spat on me. Some threw sand. Others cursed my name. And my mother. Neka stood there silently like she had already seen it all before. Maybe she had. The king banished us before sunrise. Just like that. The village I grew up in threw us away like rotten fruit. And as we walked into the forest that night, I realized something dangerous. Pain can kill love. But humiliation creates monsters. There are places even brave men fear. The Forbidden Forest was one of them. But that night, my mother feared the villagers more than the spirits. That was when I met the keeper. Tall. Covered in chalk and feathers. His eyes looked older than time itself. He stared at me like he already knew my soul. And then he said the words that destroyed my life forever. You are the chosen daughter. Chosen. I used to think being chosen was a blessing. I was wrong. Sometimes being chosen is the worst curse of all. Inside the sacred cave, I finally learned the truth. I was never fully human. My mother had begged the gods for a child. And the gods answered. But spirits never give gifts freely. Part of me belonged to their world. That was why prophecies came to me like whispers in the dark. That was why strange things happened when I cried. When I got angry. When I loved too deeply. And when the keeper said a spirit lived inside me. I wanted to run. But where do you run when the monster is already inside you? Obina's death awakened something ancient within me. I could feel it moving under my skin. Breathing through my anger. Growing stronger with every tear I shed. And then I heard her voice. The spirit. Soft. Cold. Hungry. Let her rage. Those words still haunt me. Because a part of me wanted to listen. A part of me wanted revenge. And revenge is a dangerous thing. At first, it feels like justice. Until it starts turning you into the very thing you hate. The king sent hunters after us. Men with spears. Men who once greeted my mother with respect. But fear changes loyalty quickly. I remember standing in that forest surrounded by darkness. The wind felt alive. The spirit inside me whispered again. And this time, I listened. I wish I could tell you I fought it. I wish I could say I stayed human. But pain makes monsters of all of us eventually. When the screaming stopped, blood covered my hands. And for the first time in my life, I understood why the village feared me. The keeper told me there was only one way to stop the spirit. Obina. Or what remained of him. So I crossed into the spirit realm. A place where dead souls wander endlessly between memory and silence. And there he was. Obina. Not fully alive. Not fully dead. Just trapped. Seeing him again shattered me. Because love does not disappear after death. It becomes heavier. Sadness becomes heavier too. He warned me not to become a monster. But by then, I think it was already too late. My mother saw the final prophecy before the next full moon. One life for another. Either I would die, or Udo would burn. Funny, isn't it? The same village that rejected me now depended on me for survival. Fate has a cruel sense of humor. Sometimes I stand above the hills at night and watch the village sleep. The same people who called me cursed. The same people who destroyed my life. And I ask myself one question over and over again. If the monster they feared finally awakens, who truly created her? The gods? Destiny? Or them? My name is Amarachi. Daughter of the oracle. Child of prophecy. Half human. Half spirit. And before the next moon rises, Udo will either remember me as its savior, or fear me as the beginning of its destruction.